Welcome to Lead Different.
Today's conversation is one I've been genuinely excited to share. I'm joined by Lynnaire Johnston, joining us from New Zealand, who is truly one of the most thoughtful voices on LinkedIn today. Lynnaire is a coach, a strategist, and the author of the book, Linkability, where she challenges the way we think about connection, content, and credibility on LinkedIn. In this episode, we decide a lot of people are curious about right now: AI, the LinkedIn algorithm, and how to work with it instead of fighting it. But more importantly, we talk about how to stay in the process, how to connect more authentically, how to build real relationships instead of just chasing reach or engagement. What made this conversation especially meaningful for me is that I had just wrapped up another podcast interview with Jeff Scheffelbein, who took a moment to acknowledge how genuinely he thought I show up for him and his network on LinkedIn. That meant a lot, and it connected perfectly to the conversation with Lynnaire because she brings so many practical, grounded ideas for doing exactly that: showing up with intention, generosity, and authenticity. Lynnaire doesn't just understand LinkedIn, she understands people. And I can't wait for you to hear her perspective. So let's get into it. Here's a conversation with Lynnaire Johnston. I hope you enjoy it.
Why not leadership? Why different?
Welcome to Lead Different, the podcast that redefines leadership and challenges the status quo. Hosted by Daniel Dominguez, founder and CEO of Why Not Leadership. This show is your compass to becoming a better leader through the power of self-awareness. Good leaders foster teams that are engaged, empowered, and energized. Join us on this transformative journey as we equip you with tools and insights to lead different. Get ready to challenge the ordinary and embrace self-aware leadership. This is Lead Different.
Subscribe now. Discover a new era of leadership. Lead different, because great leaders change the world.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am stealing that line from our guest today, Lynnaire Johnston. If you've been on one of her podcasts or been on one of her live shows, which is famous for, you've heard her use that introduction. Today, we're going to talk to Lynnaire Johnston. We're going to talk about LinkedIn in the AI era. Let me tell you a little bit about our show today. Our guest today, Lynnaire Johnston, is a leading LinkedIn visibility expert who specializes in AI-discoverable profiles, clear professional positioning, and platform strategy. She's the creator of the Linkability members community. Helps professionals build stronger profiles, communicate with confidence, and become discoverable in an AI-driven LinkedIn world. Work focuses on practical human-first strategies that make LinkedIn easier to understand and more effective for professionals seeking visibility, credibility, and new opportunities. She has more than a decade of experience writing profiles, training teams, and advising leaders. Lynnaire combines deep LinkedIn knowledge with professional communication expertise. She is the author of Linkability, 4 Powerful Strategies to Maximize Your LinkedIn Success. She's the co-author of the best-selling Business Gold and a respected podcast, live streams, and radio. Through her coaching, community, and profile makeovers, Lynnaire equips people to present their strengths clearly, align their content in their message, and navigate LinkedIn's evolving AI landscape with confidence. So, man, a lot of stuff we've got to talk about. So let me bring Lynnaire on. Let's get started. How are you, Lynnaire?
Kia ora, Dan. It's so lovely to be back with you again. I'm very well, and greetings to you and to everyone in your audience from New Zealand today.
Well, thank you for getting up early. It's 9 o'clock in the morning for you. It's 1:07 in the afternoon for me. So we've always got challenges. And I like to joke, Lynnaire is actually in the future. So it is her last day of the business year of 2025. This episode will be premiering on January 9th. So we're finishing up the year. What has your year been like, Lynnaire?
Just absolutely amazing, Dan. And I put that down to the arrival in the mainstream of AI. Of course, that means it's affected LinkedIn too, which I know we're going to talk about. AI in our own worlds. It's turned up in our mainstream apps like WhatsApp, for example, and it is just everywhere. And I started the year as an AI novice. I knew very little about it and hadn't used it at all. And I'm finishing the year with a lot more knowledge under my belt and using it every single day. So learning about how to make to work in the business world has been fascinating, and particularly to see how it has changed LinkedIn, my particular area of interest. So yeah, amazing year.
So the biggest thing, and I love that you're talking about it because AI has here, it's not going away. We are seeing it in videos, we are seeing it in everything, and there's all kinds of different platforms. There's not just Chat GPT, there's Grok, there's Gemini is doing really well. I know a lot of people have almost exclusively moved over to Gemini because you have a Google platform. It knows so much about you. It can go to all of your documents. It can go to all of your knowledge database and really create stuff that's personalized. And AI has impact, which is your area of expertise. Lynnaire, what are the, I want to make sure we get to know you a little bit better because there are some people that haven't met you before. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did
Sure.
Lynnaire end up in the place she is today as a LinkedIn expert and then LinkedIn AI expert in 2025 and 2026? Where'd you get your start? I know we talked a little about your history and the profile, but maybe walk us through that really quickly.
Sure. So I've been a professional writer all my adult life. I started in radio. Then I moved to publishing and then into copywriting. And about a decade ago, I discovered LinkedIn had introduced a publishing platform. Now, LinkedIn was relatively in its infancy at that stage, but it had a publishing platform where you could put short form content right up my street. So I started writing about writing, and I started learning about LinkedIn, and then started writing about learning about LinkedIn. And over time, I became a little more adept at it. And at the end of 2019, I woke up literally one morning to discover that I'd been added to a list of Australia, New Zealand LinkedIn experts. And that spawned the opportunity to write my book, Linkability, which gave me an international presence. So from there, I have just gone from strength to strength and people all over the world to help them understand LinkedIn, which has become such a very different beast from what it was when I first started, Dan. So it's been an interesting journey, but I have to say 2025 has produced more significant change than any other year since I've been paying attention to LinkedIn.
So that's a history, and you go back to 2019. So lot changed the following year, right? We were all impacted, and that's around the time you and I got to know each other. So it's been a few years. What was it? What's the biggest change you've seen in those 5 years between 2020 and 2025 on the platform? The great thing about having you here is I get to hear from everyone. It's becoming too social. It's becoming too personal. It's becoming much like Facebook. It's not enough like TikTok. Almost, you were one of the big proponents of video, and almost everybody's got video now. And now AI is generating video. You can just take a picture of Lynnaire and have your AI bot create videos of Lynnaire on any topic without you even having to do it. So there's a fine line between authenticity and promoting stuff that is truly yours. I know we are using it at Why Not Leadership, using AI, but it makes mistakes, and we want to make sure we catch those. So everything's through a human filter still at Why Not Leadership. But what's the biggest change you've seen in those 5 years, Lynnaire?
It's the change we've seen this year, Dan, and that is the change of, the arrival of AI to power LinkedIn. So this is something behind the scenes. For most of the changes, if you asked me a year ago, I'd have talked about individual features, but this is something fundamental. This is what makes LinkedIn tick. It's the engine under the hood, if you like, and that is now AI powered, which it wasn't before. So we've seen that massive change this year, and what has resulted from that is a huge reduction in organic reach for most people. But it's all about how AI has been integrated into the setup that LinkedIn has. So it's changing fundamentally from somewhere where you could post content and expect to get really good visibility, good engagement, and hopefully even spark conversations, to something where the platform looks at much more than just what you're posting. It looks at your profile, it looks at your direct messages, it looks at the engagement that you're putting on other people's posts. So it's been huge in terms of fundamentals and what's going on underneath. And I think that that's a really important thing for leaders to understand. I know a lot of people still see LinkedIn as somewhere just to put their CV online, but it's not. It is a leadership tool now. Up until recently, I've always declared that it was a business tool. Now it's a tool for leaders. Leaders need to understand how to make it work and get good value from it, I think.
You know, that there's the brilliance of Lynnaire Johnston, because she knows they are a leadership company. Why Not Leadership is a leadership company, and you're talking leadership from a social media perspective. So, what makes it a leadership platform? What is the change that you've seen that makes it so important for leaders?
I think the biggest change for leaders has been their understanding that it's okay to have their voice heard publicly. A lot of leaders, I think, have stayed in the shadows. They've not been interested in social media, or they've been scared of it, and they've not wanted to share their knowledge and expertise in the public realm. But this is it will be when this goes to air, 2026. And sitting in the shadows is just a recipe for visibility disaster. If you want to be seen and heard and noticed and appreciated and understood, and your knowledge to be shared, you need to come into the spotlight. And LinkedIn is the place to do that, because it's the social media platform for business. It's not like TikTok, it's not like Facebook, it's not like the other platforms. It is around business. And I think that people haven't really understood that. A lot of people do put personal content on LinkedIn, and I can understand the reasons for that. But primarily, this is a business first platform, Dan. And I think that that has been a major reason why many leaders are starting to see now the opportunities that it can provide.
As you talked through that, you know, that's something I've always done, and especially since we've been out as a leadership company, you know, a lot of people, you don't have to have a LinkedIn profile, I think, as a leader, but as a leader of a company, it is so useful to get your, like you said, you talk about opinion, your views, even credibility, right?
Yes.
Is important. So using that, and what we use it for is we've learned from Lynnaire, right? Who are you trying to attract? Who is your ideal audience? Tailor your message to them and make sure those are the people that you're following. But also, you mentioned a place to share expertise. One of the things I've noticed, Lynnaire, and as I work with people, and I might get hired because if it's a referral, someone had a great experience with Why Not Leadership and recommended us. But the first thing they do is they go to your social media. And if it's a company you're working with, the first place they go is LinkedIn. So we want to make sure we're posting information that relates to our leaders, because those are the people we want to work with. What's the best strategy? What has changed in the AI world in terms of how do you want to package your content? what's important to the algorithm. And then the other part is the algorithm changes almost every week. So how do we keep up with those changes?
Sure. So let's start there. You can ignore the algorithm because new LinkedIn system, it's called 360 Brew, doesn't rely on things like hashtags or keywords or the time of day you post. What it relies on is what you say. It actually reads your posts. So that's the first thing. So ignore the algorithm, forget about it altogether, and just talk about your area of expertise. Because with this, it's important to talk about your particular area. Stay in your lane is the key advice on this. So choose 3, maybe up to 5 topics and continually write about those. So for me, that's LinkedIn, and now AI for LinkedIn. And if you are consistently doing that and your profile is consistently backing up that message, because you say, Dan, people look at your profile when they're checking you out. And if you can do that and your messaging is consistent, your engagement is consistent with it, then that's how you will get visibility on LinkedIn in 2026. Make no mistake, it's a lot harder than it used to be. And certainly in 2025, one of the biggest changes we've seen is the fact that engagement has overtaken publishing content as the key strategy for success and visibility. Engagement is more important than posting. And that's a key change that nobody ever expected. And so I think it's important for people to understand that they now need to be sharing their expertise on other people's content.
Right.
And that's an interesting move, don't you think?
Oh, I love that. And I think, I think there's probably a term I learned in one of your webinars, post and ghost. When content was the only thing that mattered, everybody was posting and then they disappeared. And you could comment on it, but you didn't hear from the creator. And what you're saying is engagement is more important. Are you engaging with the people who are engaging with your content? Are you commenting back? And of course, that can all be done with AI also. But I think what I've learned is as I meet those people that I've met online, like yourself, whom I value our relationship, I value our connection, and I value the referrals that I send you and the people that you've sent to work with us. There's a fine line between efficient and authenticity. And so what advice do you have for someone? Let's talk to our primary audience, a CEO or a founder who wants to build a presence on LinkedIn, and they're a startup, and they're inundated, right? There's only so much in the day. You build a following of 10,000 followers. You can be engaged with the platform all day long, but then there's business plans to get done, takes to prepare. There's the actual work that needs to get done. Unless you're Lynnaire, where this is your work, there's other things that need to get done. And even for you, there's work that you have to get done. You can't just show up on a lot. You've got to prepare. So what's a proper time? How can somebody who's starting their LinkedIn career, let's just call it that, or presence, without being overwhelmed by the amount of engagement that can happen there?
I think what's important is to begin as you mean to continue. Dan, it's very easy. I think most of us are guilty of this. We're really enthusiastic about something that is new to us and we just love it and we want to spend more time on it. Inevitably, that just fades a little, and we have to really work out what we can put into our schedule that can stay there on an ongoing basis. And for most leaders, that's not going to be an awful lot of time. It's not going to be an hour a day. But on the positive side of this, we have to create content as much anymore. And a lot of people don't create much content at all, except maybe to report on something that happened in business, or maybe to create a post around something that's in the news that they feel strongly about. What is more important is the engagement engagement on other people's posts. Now, if you were to put comments on 5 to 10 people's posts in a week, then that would be sufficient if you were just starting out and wanted to get the feel of the platform, but didn't want to get too involved. Now, you did mention that AI can be used to create comments, and that is very true. Where I see it slightly differently is that if you give of yourself, your opinions, share your ideas, talk about your experience, then that is unlikely to be something that your AI is well trained enough yet on to be able to deliver without your input. So the time that you would normally spend creating a post, it might be half an hour if you're very fast, an hour a day. Instead, put that into commenting on people's posts authentically. Add images, you can add GIFs to a comment as well. You can really make it sound fantastic. In fact, you can turn comments on other people's posts into mini posts yourself. And if you do that well enough, then you even post that as your own post. But I digress. How much time? I would like to recommend at least 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's consistency that counts over time. So not showing up for a month and then doing a whole week of a lot of work is going to be less useful to you in the longer run than doing a small amount every single day. Even if you just go into your LinkedIn, answer your direct messages, accept or decline your invitations, and then perhaps send a few invites of your own, plus a few comments, and that's sufficient to make a real difference on LinkedIn, because that would still put you an awful lot further ahead than most people are using the platform right now.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I like that it's easily digestible amount of time, especially for someone who's really busy in the throes of starting business.
Yeah.
What about I knew I had this question for you. For those of us in business and who are veterans on the platform, what I've noticed is just an increase in the amount of people who are sending us DMs with a direct sale, no introduction, no, hey, can I get 10 appointments a week? Can I get you 20,000 followers in 2 days from one video? Can I give you 36 connections in 1 minute? Really, I mean, you can tell it's a cut and paste. It's a robo ad. For me, it's simple. It's delete and block. If I get something like that from someone, but then occasionally I'll also get something from someone I've known for a while that has decided to jump to the bot world and start sending automated messages. And the worst ones are those that say, "Hi, Dan, I noticed we have insert person names here in common," and they don't really even put the name in there, so there's missing. We all cut and paste. It's a great way to be more efficient. But when your bot doesn't even find the name of a person you have in common, and what's your number one? What's your reaction? How should we deal with it? The first question I'd like to ask. And what advice do you have to people who are being sold that this actually works? Because I can tell you that those of us who are truly running a business have no interest in someone who won't even take the time to send me a personalized message.
Well, I think the key thing is to put yourself in the shoes of the person who's receiving your message. Dan, what does it feel like to receive that message from you if you're the person sending it? And if you would welcome messages like that, honestly, which I can't imagine, then fine. But most of us hate it just like you do. We are all being inundated with messages exactly like this, and it doesn't work. If it sounds too to be true, then it pretty much always is my standard response to that. And the problem I think that most people have with this is they are looking for an easy way, a workaround, a hack Something that just takes the pressure off and gets some results. Well, first of all, automation and LinkedIn are two mutually exclusive terms. Using automation on LinkedIn is against LinkedIn's terms of service. It will get you banned. So if you value your LinkedIn presence, do not use it. I think the second point here is that you need to come across as somebody who is trustworthy. How does it build trust when you don't communicate with anybody except to try to sell them? You don't walk into a networking meeting and say, hi, my name's Lynnaire, would you like to buy my services? The world doesn't work that way. We work on learning about people, finding out what they do, whether they can help, and whether they can solve our problems, the kind of messages you're talking about. Do not do that. But I believe still that direct messaging is an excellent way to communicate with our followers, to communicate with our connections, to build those relationships. But you have to do it the right way. And the wrong ways you've just been describing, Dan, is really seriously going to ruin your reputation. And people like me do exactly like you do, and we block those people. Now, if you are blocked by a lot of people on LinkedIn, then LinkedIn again will look at your account very closely, and you could easily find yourself banned altogether. So I do believe that direct messaging is an excellent way to reach people, because by and large, most leaders, senior leaders, probably manage their LinkedIn accounts themselves. And so it's not like emails that will end up in your spam folder or there's a gatekeeper. There's quite likely just to be you and the person that you're trying to reach. So I think it's important to have a series of messages that builds trust over time. And I'll just give you one thing that I think works really well is when you first connect with someone, Dan, is to send them a short intro video, a welcome video, I call it, where you just say who you are and what you do and share something that's maybe of use or a link to somewhere that people can go to find out more information. But the impression that you want to leave people with is you want to get to know them. And if you want to get to know them, ask a question, because that way people will think that you are interested in who they are. And it's amazing the conversations that you can have. And I think that makes you stand out, in the direct messages as being different from all those sales messages that you have just been talking about, which none of us need, do we really, at all, ever?
Well, and the sheer volume of them, because when you do talk to those people, because I remember talking to them when I was at the Y Institute, because we were trying to grow at a large scale, and the numbers the number of people that you have to reach to get a positive response. It only took a couple of negative responses for me to say, I don't want to do that. And, of course, being a veteran here, also go back, to talk to some connections, because maybe we didn't decide to connect back then, but now we're connecting. Our spheres have recollided. And then I go to send a direct message and I see a terrible, spammy, slimy message that I sent 4 years ago. And I have literally taken to saying, hey, Lynnaire, I am so sorry about that previous message you have from me. This was an era during which I was trying something that I thought would work and obviously didn't. But I noticed X you posted recently, or you liked my post recently on this. Love to talk to you about that some more, or whatever it is, something that's personalized. I love your idea of sending a video, but I think, and let me know, is that a good tactic? Just acknowledge, you know what, it was a bad idea, and I bought it and I went for it, and I'm so embarrassed that I did.
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, Dan, isn't it, really? And we all make mistakes on LinkedIn. I have made a few whoppers myself over time, but I don't think that there is so much leniency from people around making those kinds of mistakes today. We're a long way further down the track with LinkedIn, a decade for me, and you'll probably be on the platform at least as long as that too. So there's no excuse really for us for making those basic mistakes. People who are new to the platform, they really need to sit back and look at how it's done well, but also to use some common sense. And I think that it isn't common sense to just deluge people with messages like that. And when people think about it sensibly, particularly ones that haven't been completed properly with your name, I mean, that's just rude. It's laziness, ignorance, and being rude. And I'm not quite sure that people are nearly as forgiving on LinkedIn around those sorts of basic mistakes as they used to be. But kudos to you for fronting up and apologizing for that, because what it does is it deals with the elephant in the room. Because if it's been a while since you connect with that person, they've probably forgotten that you did that. But the fact that you are not only aware of the mistake that you made, but willing to apologize for it, I think that really does help build trust, and it repairs damage that there might have been caused by your original messaging. And that person's likely to have moved on. They probably don't even remember the message now. So I think that you're doing the right thing there. But definitely a video is a good idea. Some people will do individual videos for each new connection. I don't do that because of the volume of work that requires, because I do have to do other things, as you rightly said. But I do have a standard one that I send to people who invite me to connect. I don't send it to people who I have reached out to, because I think that does feel pushy. But if somebody's invited me to connect, I'm assuming it's because they want to know more about LinkedIn and my work. And so a welcome video, I think, is a great idea. But we shouldn't discount voice notes either, Dan. I think they are a really good way to get our message across to people. They're fast, they're easy. You can just pick up your phone and record a minute-long one, or several if you wanted to do that. And people don't often get them. So again, you'll stand out in the feed as somebody who is not trying to sell, but as somebody who is genuinely trying to build a relationship, which of course is what LinkedIn Superpower is all about, building relationships.
Building relationships, absolutely. You know, Lynnaire, if I had your beautiful New Zealand accent, I'd send more voice notes. I think that catches people's attention. That's definitely different. And you sound so polished and professional, and you are polished and professional and knowledgeable. So maybe, but I'll give that a consideration. I think that's a great idea too. You've given us a couple of jewels, introductory videos to people that reach out to you, so that they know who you are, what you do, and they're getting to see your face, your animated face, and voice notes, because that really is personalized. And I have a few people that are very good at sending voice notes, and I actually do enjoy getting them. So I think that's a topic you brought up earlier. If you would enjoy getting it, then do it. If you wouldn't enjoy doing it, then don't do it. Right?
Absolutely.
I want to make sure we share something with the audience that Lynnaire, you have built a LinkedIn community that I think provides tremendous value. It's a great place to get to know other people. I know that a lot of collaboration comes out of that community. Tell us about that community. How does one? First of all, tell us your community. I want to hear about it. But if there's someone out there that would like to start a similar project, what are some tips you have for them? But the first one is, tell our audience about the Thinkability community.
Sure. So I decided that I wanted to be able to help more people than I could one-to-one. So I set up a website which has got a lot of my content about LinkedIn on it, and a whole bunch of videos, so that it answered questions that people might have about LinkedIn. And then I started inviting people to join it, and we started to have regular, what I call round tables, where members can come along and ask questions, talk about LinkedIn, how AI is impacting LinkedIn, and various other issues on topics around that. And what I've found in the last little while, Dan, is that people really enjoy being part of a community. it's not so much the knowledge that they gain from the website that's important to them. It's the meeting, getting to know, building trust with people in the community. And 2025 has seen this really come together in a way that's just given me great joy, because instead of just operating as a bunch of disparate people doing different things on LinkedIn, we have the opportunity to come together as a group on a regular basis and talk about it and share ideas. So one of the main considerations of this new 360 brew that underpins LinkedIn now is micro communities. So that is building your own tribe of people around you. And I've done it in a formal way, but you don't have to do that. It can just be an informal group of people that know you, like you, understand what you do, and are happy to work with you, to refer you, to make suggestions, to help you when you have need of their expertise. And the way it's worked out is that we've got now in our community a number of people who are experts in their own field. So we've got somebody who's a cyber security expert. We've got, interestingly, a jet lag expert. We've got people who are recruitment and coaches and trainers of coaches. Each of them are experts in their own field, but understand the value of community and coming together to collaborate. And it's fascinating because I sit at the center of it as the founder of this community. It's a bit like a wheel, it's got spokes. And so people are collaborating with each other, they're going to each other's shows, working together in different ways and having meetings together to talk about how they can partner up or collaborate. And that's what really makes this community such a fun thing to be part of, is seeing how people interact. And I think that that's a microcosm of what LinkedIn is all about, and what it should be all about is bringing together like-minded people who share similar values and who are open to sharing ideas and learning from each other. It's been a fabulous thing. And people can easily try it out. They can even try it out for free. And in fact, if anybody who is listening to this wants to try it out free for a month, all they need to do is say they've heard your podcast and send me a direct message on LinkedIn. I've got an open profile, so anybody can message me, whether connected or not, and tell me that they listen to the podcast and they'd like to try the community for a month just to see what it looks like. I'd be very happy to have them do that.
Let's do something that I know you would recommend. Who's your ideal client, or who's your ideal member of this community? Who are you looking, who is going to get the most value out of joining this community, and who are you looking to add to this community?
I'm looking to people who are really able to see the benefits of LinkedIn, but don't quite know how to make it happen. So it's always business professionals. It might be people who own a small business and who are a bit stuck, don't have an in-house marketing team, or simply no experts on hand that they can go to ask about LinkedIn. Coaches and trainers in their own fields are very good people for my community. They make a great fit because they understand how communities work. And I think people who are solopreneurs, because if they're working in the B2B field, it can be very lonely out there in the big wide world, particularly if you're just starting out. And so having people that you can talk to about business, about LinkedIn, about marketing, about SEO, about AI, all of those things I think is really valuable. And that's what makes a community come together, as having a variety of experts in their own in one place, who are happy to talk with you and share ideas. So it's going to be interesting to see 2026 shapes up with the with AI all added to that mix, I think.
You know, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, and perhaps we can, because as people complain about the Facebookization of LinkedIn or the Instagramization of LinkedIn, people are feeling more comfortable sharing personal details. I think it's good to show your human personal side once in a while, your LinkedIn profile. I know Sundays are the days that I like to post something, personal about my family that happened, that I've been wanting to share with my community. we also participate on Instagram and on Facebook, but I saw something today where TikTok is also growing. So, and this is a focus question, Lynnaire. Should someone invest in making sure they're on all the platforms so that they capture the broadest audience? Or since LinkedIn allows short videos, you can post a short video. You need, we're also on YouTube because that's where our podcast resides. You don't have to do all those things. You can do those type of things on LinkedIn. But I'd love to hear from someone who's an expert. And I know you're probably leaning more towards, hey, stay on LinkedIn and do all those things here. But honestly, in a time of limited resources and limited time, if your ideal client resides on LinkedIn, would you do anything else? We like the variety that we get, and we do get some new clients sometimes from those other platforms, or sometimes client doesn't reside on LinkedIn. If they're younger, maybe their Instagram is their go-to, and they hear about us through that. So, love to throw that out to you. What are your thoughts?
All right. The answer is going to surprise you, Dan. I do not think that we should be focusing only on LinkedIn anymore. So let me explain why. With AI and being found by AI, so I'm talking about AI, LLM platforms like ChatGPT, the posts that you put on LinkedIn cannot be read by AI. So in other words, they are only on LinkedIn. They stay LinkedIn, moat around it, and only some content like articles and newsletters can escape that and be indexed by Google, therefore found and discovered by AI. So if you are putting all your eggs in the LinkedIn basket, you are really reducing your opportunity to reach a wider audience. Now, most people are not just on one platform. Most of us have got kinds of social media accounts. Many of us, as you said, are on YouTube and have YouTube channels. A new platform that has become quite prominent this year is Substack. And when you put content on Substack, it is public content and can be found. So the visibility angle of really relying only on LinkedIn is the first real thing to take of. It's not like it used to be because AI now is used so much in searching. That's the first point. The second point about all of this, I think that people are really not quite understanding as well as they might, is the fact that AI can help us to reach those other platforms. So let me give you an example. On a podcast like this, that's 45 minutes or so long, you're going to send me the audio file, which I'm going to have transcribed. I'm going to put it into my AI, and it is going to create for me a LinkedIn article, a blog post, a standalone LinkedIn post, text for a carousel, text for an infographic, Facebook post, and others, and ideas for my videos. You can see that now AI can be used to repurpose one piece of content into multiple different formats that work really well on those different platforms, because you can't just put something from LinkedIn and copy it directly into Facebook. It doesn't work like that. You have to know what each platform likes, how it likes to work, and then repurpose your content so it works well on those other platforms. AI now makes this possible. So for me, what would have taken me days to be able to generate the content, the repurposed content from a single event, Dan, can now be done in a couple of hours. I can then send off the text to my designer for the carousel and the infographic. I can have it back the next day, and all of a sudden I've got all this amazing amount of content from one single interview with you. Isn't that amazing? It wasn't even possible at the beginning of the year. Look at us now.
Oh, it's amazing. We use StreamYard to record our podcast, and it generates our shorts. It generates our clips that we use. We sometimes edit them. We sometimes don't use all of them, but it is really nice. There are some great platforms out there we use. There's HubSpot. There's Go Levels you can manage. Being able to post on, and as you said, repurpose the content so that it can go out on your different platforms that Yeah, that was a surprising answer from you, Lynnaire. So thank you, and it's always good to get a surprise from you because you've got your finger on the pulse. You know, we recommend, and I see it behind you. I want to make sure everybody knows about your book, Thinkability: 4 Powerful Strategies to Maximize Your LinkedIn Success. I want to talk a little bit about the 4 strategies, and because the book's around a little bit. Is it still about connecting, publishing, engaging, and direct messaging? Are those still the best pillars that a content creator or a leader who is joining LinkedIn today should be focusing on?
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is not quite in the same order as I had it in the book. In the book, I put a lot of effort into talking about publishing. If I was doing the book again now, then I would not make it as much about publishing because I think that's much less important now. It's important to do, I think, for leaders, but it's more important to connect, it's more important to engage, and it's more important to send those direct messages to people because that's where you build relationships. LinkedIn's always been about building relationships, but most people don't see it like that. They don't understand the opportunities, like the opportunity for me to be on your podcast again, has come from building a relationship over time. How did we meet? We met through a mutual connection on LinkedIn who introduced us. And that is the epitome of how LinkedIn works. So yes, the strategies are definitely still valuable and viable, but it's the relevance of how they operate within the new 360 brew system that I think has changed. And also my book doesn't talk about LinkedIn profiles, and that's something that is equally important in terms of the strategy. So I think I would add a new strategy now. That is, your LinkedIn profile has got to be consistent with the work that you are doing on LinkedIn. So that's your posting, your engagement, and your direct messaging. It all has to come together. It comes down to clarity, Dan. I think clarity of who you are and what you do, who you serve, and the results they are going to get. That has been around as a formula for a good headline for a very long time, and it's still relevant today with the changes that we've seen to LinkedIn this year.
It sounds like we're going to have to republish linkability and add a 5th strategy, and then publish it all over again. So
That's
the
a bit,
5th,
doesn't it?
yeah, the 5th strategy is the profile, for sure.
Yeah.
And then you would order them. So what would be? Tell me again the order. I want to make sure the order. What you would put? Connecting
It's not
was
so
one.
much so much the order, it's the importance I would place on them. So
Right.
I would be placing more emphasis on engagement
Yes.
than I would on publishing, because now that we can see, because LinkedIn gives us the metrics, how many people have viewed our comments on the people's posts.
Right.
And some people are reporting more views on their comments than they are on their posts now.
Yes, I've seen that multiple times in the last couple of months since we started getting that metric. Yes.
Absolutely. So that tells you, firstly, that LinkedIn is putting importance on it, and secondly, that we should be doing the same. And it's very clear to me that if you engage on somebody else's content, they will engage on yours. It's that law of reciprocity coming home. And I think that is really important, but also it helps you reach people that you want to connect with, but don't know you. And so if you reach out to them and they've never heard you, why would they connect with you? And with LinkedIn reducing the number of invites that you can pick down to 3, if you're on the free account, which a lot of people are, then you can only send that default message. Now, I think we need to be very clear if we expect people to connect with us when we invite them, they need to know who we are, first of all. How do we do that? By engaging on their content, first of all. And that way, when you send your invite, they know your name. They'll go, oh, yes, they're engaging on my content. Already somebody I want to be connected with, connect. And I think that's what makes the difference there.
It is so fantastic. Lynnaire, can you believe we've been on this recording now over close to 50 minutes. I know I like to keep my interview somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes, but I always go over when I have somebody who's as knowledgeable and as engaging as you are. What's one tip you have, you would recommend to our LinkedIn users, our followers? Our followers are coaches, consultants, CEOs, and founders. What would you say as we're going into 2026 that they should do? We're airing this on the 9th of January, so we're only 9 days into the new year. What's something everybody should be doing on LinkedIn?
They should be looking at their profile really carefully to make sure that it is very clear about what it is that they do, and making sure that that message is consistent all the way through their profile, and that it's consistent through their engagement and through their own posts. That consistency has been something that's been emphasized before. Now we could be talking about a lot of different things. Now we need to be talking about something that is really clear so that AI can pick that up, LinkedIn's AI, and also off LinkedIn. We need to be very, very clear about what it is that we do and who we serve, Dan. And I don't think most of us have been doing that. We've been starting our profile as somewhere to talk about our milestones and how fantastic we are and what we can do to help you and all those kind of things. That is not the way to be looking at this. We just need to be very, very clear about who we're serving and what we can deliver to people. And I think that if people understand that and look at their profiles with that very clearly in their mind, they might go, I think I better do some work on this in the new year.
I love that. It's really about integrating it, right? It's being the same person on the profile as the person that reaches out on the DM, that comments on your post. It's interesting because I actually just did my newsletter, and you got to let me know if you got it, Lynnaire. But we talked about living an integrated life. Being the same person at work that you are at home, but also authenticity is easier when it's authentic, right? It's easy to be authentic right? So just be yourself. Make sure that profile matches who you are. You don't want to be a party animal, fun guy on your profile, and then when people meet you, you're very buttoned down and different, because it's going to cause that cognitive dissonance, and it doesn't build trust. Lynnaire, this has been a wonderful conversation. Let me invite our listeners, our viewers, please follow the Lead Different podcast. Give us a like, give us a comment. We're going to have all of Lynnaire's information the show notes below. So take a listen, take a look, connect with her, join her LinkedIn community, her Linkability community. I can vouch for the fact that Lynnaire brings tons and tons of value. She's a fellow contributor, so she gives and gives far more than she receives. Don't take advantage of her. Make sure you use her appropriately and send her questions. She's great. I've used her services many times, and she's always available and willing to give more than what you pay for, and more than you can expect. A generous, kind soul. Lynnaire, I'm going to wish you a beautiful, beautiful Christmas season, as won't air till January, but we're short of that holiday right now, and it's summer for you guys. You get to have a warm Christmas, right? So, Lynnaire, what do you say we end the show on that note?
Dan, why not?
Thank you so much, Lynnaire. I love we're heading into the end of the year, and I had a chance to reconnect with one of my favorite people on the planet. I listened to a comedian the other day who visited New Zealand, and he said, this planet's pretty darn big. when he looked at, he was surprised at how long it took, like 500 miles an hour, to get to the other side of the world. And it's so great to have friends on the other side of the world. Lynnaire, I wish you the absolute best holiday season, and hope to connect with you in 2026.
Thank you so much, Dan. Big aroha from New Zealand to you and all your listeners. Thank you so much for having me back.
Have a great rest of your December, and we'll see you guys in 2026.
This is Lead Different.
Subscribe now. Discover a new era of leadership. Lead different, because great leaders change the world.